Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Midwest Medium Podcast. Today, we continue our Two Mediums in a Pod series. I am June Hessler, and joined with me is Ciara Titus. She's a chaplain and psychic medium that you recently have been introduced to. Now, we're recording this on January 10th, and the plan for today's episode was to talk about mediumship and our experiences with mediumship, what we love about mediumship, what we've learned from it. But with the events that have happened on January 7th in Minneapolis, I wanted to talk about Renee Nicole Good and the awful killing, murder that took place 15 miles from my house. Um, so I asked Ciara if that was okay. She said yes. And so we're going to talk about it. And I don't know if we'll get to the mediumship conversation that we want to have. We'll see where it goes. We might get to that today. We might not. That might have to be next time. So anyway, to well, first I should say hello, Ciara. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm so grateful to be here.
Well, I'm grateful that you are here also. Okay, so this is a heavy topic. Um, for anyone listening who's not quite familiar with what happened or who is not in Minnesota like I am, who maybe is just seeing the headlines, what happened on January 7th in Minneapolis was a woman named Renee who was in her neighborhood. She was in her car. There was ICE activity. Uh, there's many different videos from different angles. She was trying to turn her car around to get out of the way of ICE. And what ended up happening is her car suddenly became swarmed with, I want to say, three, four, maybe five ICE officers. And that she is on video telling the ICE officer that shot her, um, dude, I'm not mad at you. And she had a smile on her face. And maybe 30 seconds later, that exact officer shoots her not once, not twice, but three times. And as a result, there has been outrage. Now, it's important to note that this killing of Renee happened 4 blocks from where George Floyd was killed 5 years ago by a Minneapolis police officer who is now in prison for that exact crime. Minneapolis has been through a lot. When George Floyd was killed, we rose up, we demanded justice, and it's happening again. Fortunately, Minneapolis has a strong leader, Jacob Frey, and we have a strong governor, Tim Walz, who have been extremely compassionate and, in my view, extraordinary leaders during these difficult challenges. They were also mayor and governor during the pandemic, mayor and governor during George Floyd, and now Renee Good. That being said, um, the uprising, well, I should back up. After Renee was shot, her foot was on the accelerator of her car. Obviously, she could not control the vehicle because she was killed instantly. And her car then crashed maybe 100 yards or so down the road and crashed into a couple parked cars and I believe a power line pole. And there's also video showing ICE agents keeping bystanders, witnesses away from Renee's body. There is a video of a man who identifies himself as a physician and he asks to check for a pulse. ICE said no. He said, I am a physician, and ICE said, I do not care. Because the ICE vehicles were blocking the roadway, when the ambulance did come, the ambulance could not directly access Renee's body or her car. As a result, they had to park the ambulance down the block and get out and run to her. So, as I mentioned, there's been outrage, there's been extreme sadness. The energy here is thick, heavy, sorrowful, rage. What has happened in Minneapolis to me is not surprising. People have come together. There is now a memorial at the site where Renee's car was, where it crashed into the parked cars. There have been protests throughout Minneapolis and Minnesota. There had peaceful protests, I'm going to add. There's been largely, overwhelmingly peaceful protests. This is not our first rodeo. We've done it before. We have seen, oh, this is emotional. I'm trying to not get emotional. We have seen the country protest in her honor and in support of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I know that we see you. And I know that it means so much to all of us. What's very unfortunate, also, as if it couldn't get any worse, is typically what happens is the Minnesota BCA will work alongside the FBI when investigating a crime such as this. What has happened is the FBI has completely blocked out the Minnesota BCA and is not allowing our investigators and our experts any access to any evidence. Renee's car, her cell phone, personal belongings in the car, nothing. So that has been frustrating because Minnesota wants truth, transparency, and justice. What was announced yesterday is the Hennepin County Prosecutor's Office held a press conference with our Attorney General, Keith Ellison, and they have asked for the public who has evidence to submit it to their office because we are holding our own investigation, which I think is completely necessary. And I'm so happy that our leaders are focused on doing the right thing and finding the truth. The fear is the FBI, being under the Trump administration, will not be forthcoming, transparent. My personal worry is I'm worried evidence will be fabricated. What I mean by that is the Trump administration, DHS, JD Vance, they've all come out pretty hard swinging at Renee's character, completely defending and standing 100% behind the officer that had shot her, claiming that Renee was a domestic terrorist. And Trump had said it was amazing that this ICE officer survived. Well, guess what? He was not hit by the car. I've seen the video many, many times, many different angles, frame by frame. He was at the side of the car before he shot his first round. That being said, I'm worried evidence will be fabricated. And what I mean by that is we know she was a poet. And if the Trump administration is really going to stand firm in Renee Good was a domestic terrorist, maybe they'll fabricate poems that are anti-ICE. I don't know. It's just something I'm worried about. Certainly hope that's not the case. So I'm very glad that Minnesota leaders are conducting their own investigation. I think that's extremely important. What happened in the following hours after this tragic murder was ICE agents then went to a local high school in Minneapolis and assaulted teachers and students. as a result, every school in Minneapolis is now closed. They are doing, I believe they're doing e-learning through the middle of February. And I want to make it very clear, they are closed along with other districts in the area to protect children from our federal government. We have seen this before. You can think 1930s Germany. So I have been extremely upset emotionally over all of these events, all of these facts. Everything I'm saying to you has been fact. Um, so that's where we're at. I wanted to just give a brief overview of the events that have happened over the last 3 days since Wednesday, the 7th. And it's tragic. And I have been very vocal on my social media pages. And one thing I've also tried to really promote is peaceful protest. I think it's very important that we get out and protest and that we make our voices heard, that we stand against what is happening. Because if we don't, it's going to happen to someone else. That is a fear I have, is that this will happen to someone else. The only question is who, where, and when. We have over 2,000 ICE agents in our state right now. Uh, it's scary. My daughter sees them by her school. Um, it is very unnerving. And I think we need to talk about it. So, again, with protesting, I really just urge people to keep it peaceful. I know that we're angry. I'm angry. I feel rage. I'm furious. My blood is boiling. But we cannot riot. We cannot loot. We cannot vandalize. We cannot cause anyone physical harm. We need to be peaceful. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So, with all of that being said, I'm so glad that Ciara is here to join me. And as a member of the clergy, I am curious, Ciara. Well, I have a few questions for you. You're in Orange County. What are you seeing in the news? Did you already know everything that I've shared? I've seen I've seen a lot of different protests. I believe I've also seen protests in LA over this and standing with Minneapolis, which I'm so grateful for. Um, so what have you been hearing in your community? And as a member of the clergy, what wisdom can you give the rest of us?
Sure. I just want to say thank you for that elegant and passionate introduction and explanation of what has um, transpired. It really is a tragedy for everyone involved. This is not a happy incident. Yeah. And, to see people like you being passionate about what is going on in our nation is inspiring. What I've been seeing here is, there's been overall a level of frustration. I think my state, California, is similar to Minnesota in the fact that it's more liberal. Um, there's a lot of protests against the current administration, particularly about how the current administration dealt with the fires that happened here in Los Angeles, which was not very far from me. So it's just been like a tumbling, a growing frustration. And this just adds more to the, I don't know, yeah, I think the frustration is the biggest word really that's coming up. It just adds to the frustration of feeling powerless, of feeling like the people who are in charge, which I'm really talking about the Trump administration, have really pushed down people and are behaving in a way that is not for our highest good. And so I think day to day, people are avoiding the topic, talking about it. But then you have, this is what I see actually is happening. There is just a split in our nation between fear-based and love-based, right? And the love-based kind of just want to get along, want to sometimes avoid it, I think, because it was really hard. And then you have the fear-based who are hunkering down, buying more guns, buying, stocking up at Costco. And yeah, that's what I'm seeing is really more of the divide. I feel like when things like this happen, like with Renee's shooting, it is a magnifying glass to really what is happening in our nation. It's symbolic to the unrest, the the corruption, um, and but I'm really glad that people are stepping up. So coming into this, since I am a pastoral counselor, a crisis counselor, I will walk into situations like this where people are overwhelmed with the sense of loss, grief, and powerlessness. And the first thing I want to say is it is okay to have these feelings. Let them flow through you because this is absolutely the time to feel these feelings. Like this is an absolute loss, not just for Renee and her family, but for our nation. And it shows how we're treating each other. Like this officer felt justified enough to take a human life because of fear, because he felt threatened, and I'm sure he wanted to exert power. Um, and so, like you were saying, stay in a state of peace because the last thing you want to do is fight and then put yourself in that other side, the fear-based side. I always like to think like God really does know what's happening and what God allows really is for our highest good because look at if this didn't happen, there would not be an uprising. There would not be a magnifying glass on the corruption in the administration. There wouldn't be like a focal point to really show how corrupt that they are hiding evidence, that they're manipulating the stories. Like it's so obvious. It's so obvious.
It's so very obvious. And
And
with,
this, yeah,
oh, go ahead.
no, it's so obvious. And this is the thing, God knows. God knows. So even though we're not getting the validation, the justification in this moment, believe me, God has the big chessboard and he knows what's going on and he will bring it all to light. It's just society and the way humans, we do work really slow with our evolution. And I know God is pushing us to a higher level of evolution because it's pushing us to say, we cannot stand for this. We've been really complacent. We've been a little bit lazy, and this includes me about getting involved, about speaking up. I think for Americans, we've been so comfortable because we've lived in a state of peace for such a long time. We've gotten really comfortable with our materialism. Like we don't struggle every day for fresh water like they do in other countries. We don't struggle. There are some people who do here in the US, but for the majority of us are very comfortable. And when we get comfortable, we do get lazy. We do turn away from God because things are easy. It's not until we're really pushed to a state of discomfort will we turn to God and will we say, hey, we want something better.
Yeah. And also to add to everything that you just said, will we pray? I've learned over the years that God truly hears every single one of our prayers. I've seen prayers come to actual change and desired results. I've seen that in my own life. And so when this initially had happened, I was really encouraging people to pray for relief, pray for wisdom, guidance, protection, all those things that our spiritual teacher, Oracle Marine, has taught us. Um, And yeah, we're being tested. Will we turn to God? Will we turn to what we don't understand, but we have tremendous trust and faith in? And some people will, some people won't. And I think it's important too. The other reason why I'm calling for peaceful protests is because karma's real, and I don't want people to create negative karma for themselves or for us as a whole. So there's so many reasons why peaceful protesting is important. But you're right, Ciara. God knows He has the master plan, and it's not up to us to understand it. It's up to us to surrender and trust.
Yeah, which is the test of faith, test of faith, right? It's the walk of spiritual growth. And it is really hard because it is excruciating, it is painful, it is heartbreaking. Um, and we've done it to ourselves. We've done it to ourselves. We are collective consciousness. So we are brothers and sisters in the fact that we direct violence to each other is really disheartening. But like you're saying, prayer is everything. I wouldn't have a career where I pray almost every day with my patients if I didn't believe in the power of prayer. And then, if you don't mind, I would love to just say this prayer for peace from St. Francis of Assisi.
I would love that.
Okay. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled, but to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love. For in it, in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
That's beautiful. Thank you. It's been a heavy few days. When Sarah and I first connected on Zoom today, she said, "How are you doing?" And I paused for a second and I just said, "I'm fine," very unenthusiastically. And she said that she could feel the grief. And yeah, that's how we're feeling. And I would even call it angry grief. And like we talked about, the helplessness that we're facing. One thing I do want to point out, and my point, what I'm about to say, my point is not I was right and you should listen to me. My point in saying what I'm about to say is God is warning us and people need to listen. And what I mean by that is I have been delivering uncomfortable messages about Trump for a while now. Oracle Marine, who you are familiar with, has been delivering difficult messages about Donald Trump even longer at even and a more advanced level than me. Heaven has been warning us about him and his administration, but the majority of people apparently don't want to listen. So, um, the other reason I bring that up is I want to caution people against blaming God. I want to caution people against holding some belief that God has turned his back on us. He has not. He has, through his qualified messengers, he has sent warning after warning after warning after warning. And it is up to us as Americans to do the hard work, to stand up peacefully and to get him out of office. So I wanted to make that point as well. He know like to what Ciara had said, he knows exactly what's going on. He has issued many warnings. If you don't believe me, go to my blog. If you don't believe me, go to Oracle Marine's blog. It's there. And I'm willing to bet we're not the only two that he's delivered messages through. So when you see those messages from psychic mediums such as us who do work for God and Jesus in heaven, believe it because it's happening. So I didn't want to forget to mention that also.
I'm glad you mentioned it because what people tend to blame God because they can't understand why people behave the way that they behave and why God allows it. But God has gifted all of us with free will, and he respects our free will. So we use our free will to create karmic blessings. When we do something good gets out into the universe and it comes back to us in a blessing in some form. If we cause harm, we cause karmic consequence. And believe me, it'll come back to us. And there's always offspray to whoever
Oh,
is
yes.
around us, because that is the way we learn. We're experiential beings. We learn through experience, feeling. It's one thing to be taught to say, hey, don't do this, but it's another thing to, I experienced this. I realized what the consequence was. I'm going to change my behavior because of it. So God absolutely respects our free will. And even though our behavior will displease him, he will not force us to do anything because that is true unconditional love, right? Love is only true if it's given back freely instead of forced.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And you're absolutely right.
God will
Ooh.
allow us to make mistakes. He will. And in general, we're making big ones right now. And he does send his messengers. I love the fact that you've been brave with sending out unpopular messages along with Oracle Marine. They're unpopular, even though they're so true. People don't want to believe it because people don't want to think that they have done it to themselves, that they've chosen a poor leader. It's just really hard for people to grasp.
And I think also people want to bury their head in the sand. And I put myself in that group of people. I'm not pointing fingers or speaking down to anyone. My head was in the sand until 2020 when George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis. That's when I realized I can't live in my little bubble anymore. So I had a good 40 years of keeping my head in the sand. But because it's
Yeah.
easy to keep your head in the sand. It's easy to just worry about your own little bubble. I get it. It's comfortable. I am so emotionally exhausted from the last few days, and I didn't even know Renee, but I feel it. I feel it deeply. Um, so we need to get our heads out of the sand and we need to do the work.
Yeah, and this includes, like you said, like me too. I'm not perfect by any means, and I don't think blaming, and even though we have brought light to what we dislike, it isn't really about creating the right and wrong. Really, it's what's best for everybody. Like we really do want peace because peace is good for everybody. Um, Not pointing right or wrong, but really working collectively to do what's right. And when I see right, that means harm for no one.
Right. Yeah. Peaceful solutions, peaceful actions, no harm.
Yeah.
I believe we're at the point, if we weren't at this point already, we're absolutely there now, where it's no longer Democrat versus Republican. It is, in my mind and in my heart, it's good versus evil. Our spiritual teacher has talked a lot to us in class about spiritual warfare. God and Jesus have been under attack by Satan since Satan fell from since Lucifer fell from heaven.
Yeah.
And how do you attack God? You attack his children, us, Jesus's brothers and sisters, without going too far down that rabbit hole because it's deep. That's what's happening. In a nutshell, that is what's happening. Um, and we need to fight like hell.
Literally. But what you're saying is true. It really is Satan um, taking over. This is part of the beginning of Revelations, the fight of good and evil, which has, yeah, existed since the creation, really. And that's what Satan does and his minion is they encourage us to do bad deeds, which creates karmic negative karma. And then it also brings our energy levels down, our protection down. So we're more likely to create more negative karma by making bad mistakes, by listening to them instead of listening to our divine guides and angels. And it becomes this spiral because, like, once you do a bad deed and you almost get a high off of it, you do it again and again and again, and your consciousness level dims.
Yeah, and basically you're working for the demons. I mean, yeah, it's
It goes deep, man. It goes
oh my
deep.
gosh. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And
This is how this,
I wish I could say it was like fantasy or like fiction or whatever you want to call it, but I'm telling you, I've seen them. I've seen them with my own physical eyes. They exist. And once they latch onto you, they do encourage poor choices, poor behavior. They encourage harming others, harming animals. It's this whole icky way of living is what it can turn into. And I think, unfortunately, that's where we're at.
I always envision, do you remember when we were younger and we'd see cartoons where there'd be a fallen angel and a good angel on the shoulders and they'd whisper into somebody's ear? That is so true.
Yeah, it's happening.
It's
So who are you
happening.
going to listen to?
And listen, the reason we're talking about this topic, because it is so true, and it is so important because it does define how we live every day. So I know people are going to be listening to this being like, this is such a bummer. And we're going to be like, yes, it is a bummer,
It is a bummer.
but you can change it immediately by prayer, by trusting in God, by saying you trust in God, by saying you trust in your guides and angels, by praying for peace, all the things that you can do, you can automatically start making a difference and start changing your karma and your path.
That's 100% accurate. Yes. And
Yeah,
even someone who might be listening to this, maybe they're an atheist, maybe they don't have the same level of faith that we have. I would encourage that person to even just start talking to God and ask for guidance, even if it's not like formal prayer like a rosary or like being on your knees with your prayer hands, even if it's not that, even if you're just driving in your car or you're going for a walk or you're cleaning your bathroom, and talk to God and ask him for his wisdom, his guidance, his light. I think you can even start as simply as that.
absolutely. Faith really starts with practice first, the action first, and then the feelings and behaviors will follow that. Because I know sometimes it's hard. Like even when I first started going to church again, after I had fallen away from the Catholic Church, I started going back with the encouragement of Oracle Marine. And I remember not wanting to do it because I was like, I have to sit through the mass. It's kind of long. I'm kind of hungry. I'm tired. But I forced myself to go because I knew how much it pleased God and how much it pleased Jesus and the Ascended Masters. So I just went. And then every time I went, I would feel better afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt better. And then I started enjoying it because my connection to God got stronger and I was filled with the vibrations of love. It did take a while, but the payoff is there. And I always tell people who are on kind of the fence of faith, I'm always like, you won't regret believing in God. You won't regret
Never, never.
you won't regret your creator to be on your side. Like you won't. To go the other way, believe me, especially when it's your time to come to cross over, you will regret turning away from God. You will regret the fact you forgot you were a soul, that you were a created being, and that um, you are a child of God. If you turn away from that, believe me, towards the end, the anxiety, the fear, all of that becomes multiplied because you so have disconnected from source. But to go towards God, it is everything. It is the fountain of life.
That's a great way to put it. The fountain of life. I love
Mhm.
that. Well, I don't think we're going to get to our mediumship topic today.
That's okay. I feel like we go with what is needed. And this hopefully will be healing for people who are listening to this, who feel despair right now, who feel the grief.
It's been rough. I think like I said, I didn't know Renee um or her family, or we have no mutual friends as far as I know. And I'm feeling it. I can't even imagine how her wife must be feeling. She now has a 6-year-old son who's an orphan, who I'm presuming will be continue to be raised by her wife. Um, and her parents, I can't, if I'm feeling it this deep, I cannot imagine how her loved ones must be feeling. It's hard, but as someone on the outside of her circle, but someone who loves Minnesota, loves the community that I live in, seeing the rest of the country rally around this family and around the events of this tragic murder, it means a lot to me. So I'm assuming it means a lot to the family. And I ask that you keep doing that. We're not going to let this fall away. I have to say, this is probably the best thing that happened for anyone who's trying to cover up the Epstein files. That's a whole other conversation, but it's there's a lot going on with this administration, and a lot of, I believe, cover up and darkness and division that is happening. And I know that Ciara and I are trying to do what we can to combat that. So we keep fighting.
Yeah, we do. I just try to not lose my own inner light.
Yeah, you can't let that happen. That has been a little bit of a challenge for me the last couple of days, because I've seen what's on the internet, and ICE literally assaulting people in my state that I love, and it's heartbreaking. But then I see all the positive videos that I've seen of people rallying, people peacefully protesting and working hard to make change. We have great leaders in the state, despite what Trump is trying to make you believe. Tim Walz is a good governor. Jacob Fry is a good mayor. Our Attorney General, Keith Ellison, he's a good Attorney General. These are good people doing hard work, but they have good hearts. And so we need to continue supporting them. We need to continue supporting Renee Good's family. Um, but I hope I'm wrong. I'm worried this will happen again to someone somewhere at some time. And if that does end up being true, we need to support them just as much, and keep fighting against this administration. And what I mean by that is, call your representatives, call your congressmen, call all of the people that you've elected into office and encourage them to impeach Trump. He needs to be impeached. I believe Kristi Noem needs to be impeached. Um, Pam Bondi, probably her too. This goes to the very top. We do have a corrupt government right now in the United States, and it's scary. It's not something I thought I'd ever see in my lifetime. This is not the America I grew up in. This is not the America I wanted for my child.
I know. I know. I can't believe that we're faced with this. And
Yeah.
it just for so long we have trusted that our leaders have our best interest in mind. And I think this is the first time that it's been so obvious that it's not.
It is so obvious. I don't understand how people can still even support him. I really, really don't. If they truly believe that he's truly a fantastic leader and truly loves America and wants what's best for Americans, I gotta say they must be just as delusional as he is. I'm just saying it. It's crazy
Yeah,
town.
mm, I don't know why. To me, it's very misguided because I don't think that way, and it's so obvious that people are getting harmed by the policies, um, which does make me sad. I mean, I do feel disheartened. I do feel a lot of despair a lot of the time, especially when I turn on the news and you just feel the suffering in our country from others in our country. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely kind of an eye opener, kind of that we do really have to participate and we do have to be mindful and aware of and elect good leaders and be involved in the community and we just can't yeah put our heads in the sand.
And help one another. I
Hmm.
think collectively, I think we've fallen away from helping our neighbor. I think we've
Hmm.
fallen away from being concerned about the struggles others face on a daily basis, whether it's at home or abroad. There is so much struggling and pain in this world outside of America. And to your point, what you had mentioned earlier, we've gotten lazy, we've gotten complacent, we've gotten comfortable. And if this doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will.
You know, let's talk about what people can do because truthfully, it is the tiniest actions that really set forth almost like a domino effect.
Mhm.
And I know it pleases God anytime we do something kind. So it is can be the smallest act of donation to Red Cross, donation to your church for some kind of ministry, donation to even an animal shelter, something that is important to you. But any type of act of kindness really does put gold coins in your own bank for blessings, but then in the world's bank of blessings. So people don't have to feel so powerless. Like we said, prayer is incredibly important. God listens to everything. So what specifically should you pray for? Peace, for people to be awakened, for people to have relief from their suffering. So saying those specific things will, yeah, kind of, this is the way they showed, my guides have showed me how prayer works. People will have a thought, and if it's a kind thought, it goes like a string to God, and it sets off his Holy Spirit of workers to be able to do whatever God wants to happen in regards to the prayer. So it really does help manifest what you want because you're giving
Yeah,
permission to God
absolutely.
as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've witnessed it multiple times in my life. To your point, what people can do, you mentioned the Red Cross. You can even, I donated blood last week or the week before at the Red Cross. You can do that. I chopped off 12 inches of my hair to donate to Locks of Love. There's acts that you can do. If you can't give money, that's okay. You can help in these other ways. You can volunteer at an animal shelter. You can give $10 a week to your church. You can even just praying for other people. Take yourself out of the equation, pray for someone else and their needs. That goes a long way. So, yes, there are so many things that you can do. And in fact, I think what we'll do is include some of these action items in the show notes, um, just to help encourage these acts of kindness and positive things that people can do, um, so that they're not just doom scrolling like I did yesterday.
Exactly. And I always think of this too, like when you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, same.
When somebody cuts me off in the grocery store, if somebody's in a rush and really tense, I let them go first because I go, listen, I don't know what their background story is. I don't know if all of a sudden they found out they had cancer. I don't know if somebody in their family died. I don't know if they have to pick up their kid in 3 minutes and they're totally behind. So anytime you see somebody stressed, give them the benefit of the doubt and kindness. Like, what can you do to make their day better? Because believe me, when that situation is switched, and you're the one stressed, you're the one late for an appointment, you're the one who just found out you had cancer. And if somebody is mean to you, it'll make you go in the doom spiral, right? But if somebody's kind to you, oh my gosh, what a seed of love they have gifted you for like no cost at all, really.
Acts of grace.
Yeah, acts of grace, exactly. I love that term.
Well, we covered a lot today, not exactly what was on our agenda, but we felt it was important, especially as people who are spiritual, have spiritual practices. I'm so glad that we took the time to talk about it today. Ciara, what events do you have coming up that you'd like to share with people?
Oh, I do have quite a bit. So I do have my monthly practice circle, mediumship practice circle. We do that online, and that's where we practice mediumship on each other. I do have a psychic development workshop in February, and then in March, I have a mediumship development workshop. So if you're interested in building your mediumship skills, check those out. You can check them out on my website, ciaratitus.com. Oh, and I am going to be at the Heart Space Fair this month. That's in person. That's in Laguna Woods. You could go to heartspaceoc.com. And then I will actually be at a weekend psychic fair in Riverside. And that is actually next weekend.
You are busy.
Yeah, I know I am busy.
You're a busy girl. That's great. I have January 31st, Holly and I have a massage and mediumship. I'm not sure if it's sold out. I think it might be, but we are doing another one February 28th, which is also in Coon Rapids. And then in March, I think it's March 28th. It's on my website. I'm pretty sure it's March 28th. I'll be at the Holistic Wellness and, oh my gosh, the whole holistic, what is it called? That's really bad. I'm going to be at a fair
Exactly. Check the
in March.
website out.
I'll be at a fair in March in Maple Grove. It's on my website. Holistic Wellness. Yeah, Rooted Holistic Wellness. Something like that.
Double check before you leave the house, right?
For me, yes. I need to make sure I'm going to the right place. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. If you are in Minnesota, I'm right here with you, and I know that the nation is is behind supporting what is right, what is just, and please continue to protest peacefully. We will continue to keep our kids safe. We are not okay with ICE loitering around schools, loitering around bus stops. These things are happening in Minnesota. So we're going to keep fighting.
And the one thing I do want to mention to those who are feeling grief, you are not alone. Make sure you do reach out to your friends, your family to connect and let them know what's going on with you. There's always grief support groups that are around. There are. You just have to kind of go online and look. I know a lot of churches will have them. Um, and then maybe even if through your healthcare provider, but don't suffer alone because we're all feeling it in some level. So just please reach out if you need that support.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I know, Ciara, we had talked about having like an outro for the
Yeah.
podcast, and we kind of really don't have one. So I'm just going to say, on behalf of the Midwest Medium Podcast, thank you for listening to Two Mediums in a Pod series. We really enjoy doing this and being with you. So stay safe and
We'll
thank you
see you
for
next
listening.
time. Oh, sorry, I talked over you. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.